Hello, and welcome to Research Group 6's second project, How Industry Dynamics Affect Non-US Based International Firms. Industry dynamics are the drivers that help firms enter or exit an industry, growth and innovation in that industry, and the overall evolution of that industry over time. In this project, we separated industry dynamics into 5 general categories. Those being the functional requirements of that industry, which is the basic level of technology the industry requires to work. This includes electricity for lamps or sewer systems for toilets. Reliant industries are other industries that directly feed into the target industry, such as rubber for tires or metal for luxury watches. Non-industry competitors or competitors or other industries that compete with the target industry, such as TV versus radio, and social media and news sites. Social and geographical and political influences. These are influences on the target industry relating to the human geography. Things such as trends, social expectations, climate, geography, and political systems are all included in this. For example, there are different expectations in different countries based on climates and religion and cultures. Laws and regulations are the international and domestic regulations and laws that affect the target industry, things such as tariffs, quotas, copyright laws, and others. In this presentation, we will be talking about 3 international non-US based firms that are industry leaders in their respective fields. These 3 companies are Huawei, Spotify, and Emirates. Huawei is in the consumer electronics and broadband infrastructure industries. They are located in Shenzhen, China, and their main products are smartphones and telecommunication equipment. Spotify is in the audio streaming industry, with their HQ located in Stockholm, Sweden. Their main product is audio streaming of music and podcasts. Emirates is part of the airline industry. Their HQ is located in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Their products are air freight and transportation. The first company we will be talking about is Huawei. Huawei serves 2 main markets, both countries with their telecommunication capabilities and infrastructure, and individual consumers wanting to use products such as smartphone or tablets. Huawei generally provides their service worldwide, but mostly focusing on developed or developing nations, such as in North America, South America, the Middle East, and Europe. Some relevant key concepts when it comes to Huawei and who they serve and what they serve is customary law systems and theocratic law systems based on the wide range of different countries that they have to serve, as well as democracy, which is another system that they have to serve well under. When it comes to industry dynamics affecting Huawei, some functional requirements of them are infrastructure, both telecommunication and electrical grid, which is required for any of their services or products to actually work. Some reliant industries that Huawei and their competitors must rely on are precious metals, freight, microelectronics, telecommunication providers, and internet software providers. Non-industry competitors to Huawei are online messaging services such as Kik or WeChat, radio, pagers/phones, TVs, computers, and cameras. Some social, geopolitical, and political influences that affect Huawei and their competitors is any damage or threat of danger to any infrastructure that it affects, perceived needs of any private communication, and income of different groups. Laws and regulations that can affect Huawei or telecommunication laws, radio broadcasting laws, licensing laws, and international boundaries. One relevant key concept to this is different commercial laws in different countries. When it comes to advantages and threats for Huawei, Their main advantage is being able to produce at a lower cost than competitors, often pricing their services and products at around 30% of established competitors. They also have a strong R&D team with high caliber employees in high-tech environments, and their connections with the Chinese government allows the company to operate in a highly advantaged market without the risk foreign companies would garner. However, Huawei faces many threats currently. Their main and biggest threat currently is the political opposition of Huawei in the US and Canada, which has restricted the company from interacting in the world market. Huawei is currently on a clock. Production is based entirely off a stockpile made in 2019 and 2020, before US regulation hurt the company massively. If the company cannot find a new source of microchips and related inputs for their products by 2022, the company will run out of any supply. Not only this, but terrible reputation in the Western world due to copyright infringements in connection with the Chinese government has limited Huawei in who actually wants to work with them. Some relevant key concepts is with intellectual property and intellectual property rights, which Huawei has been accused of going against. Huawei is also considered a political risk in multiple countries, including Canada, Australia, and the US, and their country of origin when it comes to where they source their products is also a part of this political risk. Civil law is also included, as the theft of intellectual property is a huge deal in many of the places they operate and are charged as such. The next company we're going to be talking about is Spotify. Spotify serves a wide range of age group, though they mostly focus on individuals in the younger age groups from 18 to 24 and 25 to 34. Spotify provides their service in over 178 different countries and do so through applications for smart devices such as phones, tablets, and smart TVs. When it comes to industry dynamics that affect Spotify, some big functional requirements for Spotify are systems and devices that can actually run the applications that it provides, as well as access to internet due to them only selling their services through internet means. They are also completely reliant on both the music industry and the greater internet industry. The non-industry competitors include things such as CDs, record players, radios, and live performances, as well as other applications and websites such as YouTube and Pandora. Social, geographical, and political influences that affect Spotify are also their reliance on internet infrastructure, they're reliant on social appeal of their artists instead of just their product, as well as the retro cultural movement, making people seek older ways of accessing music, which is hurting Spotify in the short term. Some laws and regulations that affect Spotify are IP laws, censorship laws, and licensing laws. Some relevant key concepts are intellectual property rights, civil law, and the rule of law. Spotify faces significant advantages and threats. The most significant advantage is their ability to leverage collected user data to increase engagement and discoverability along their platform. They also garner the ability to change streaming quality in real time to allow listeners to listen despite poor connection without facing any disruptions. Spotify has also entered the market at a wonderful time, having taken advantage of the recent rise in on-demand services in the Western world. However, Spotify also faces significant threats. The biggest one of these is its inability to considerably differentiate itself from a growing number of competitors, which are also significantly taking its market share. Spotify also has to face licensing fees, which result in high royalty costs for Spotify, forcing them to make artists pay themselves to be allowed to be featured on their platform. Not only this, but some artists have pulled their music from the platform due to the amount of their payouts, causing backlash from not only the artist and features, but also subscribers and users of the service. Some relevant key concepts to this is intellectual property and their rights, including copyright law for the music that Spotify plays, commercial law regarding the music that Spotify plays, and the rule of law, which is the main governing system that most of the countries that Spotify operates through. The last country we will be talking about is Emirates, also known as Emirates Air. Emirates Air serves international travelers, both personal and business related, and partially serves in international air freight. Emirates provides their service internationally and globally through international airports with sufficient volume and infrastructure to allow their planes through. One key concept is country of origin, which is a major concept when it comes to international freight, which Emirates partially is involved in. A few industry dynamics that Emirates must face, including functional requirements, including airport infrastructure, and government cooperation regarding airspace to allow their planes to actually travel. They also rely on the fuel industry for airplanes, aircraft creation industry for the creation of their fleet, radio, and aerospace electronics and software to run and manage their fleet. Non-industry competitors for them are land transportation and water transportation, such as ships, trucks, and railways, which compete both in the personal and business aspect of Emirates, as well as the freight aspect. Some social, geopolitical, and political influence that affect Emirates is the current COVID-19 restrictions and protocols that are instituted worldwide, stopping international travel. They are also affected by war and the destruction of airspaces, weather, as well as government control of airspace, and local alternative travel methods. These local alternative travel methods include things such as American car culture or public transportation in states. Laws and regulations that affect Emirates include airspace laws and regulations, international boundaries, aircraft laws and regulations, new green laws affecting what kind of transportation can operate in certain countries, natural protection laws affecting where Emirates can actually fly, and transportation regulations affecting all transportation industries. Some relevant key concepts in this is country of origin, as well as political risks. When it comes to competitive advantages, Emirates' main advantage is being able to operate at low cost due to a lean workforce and a flat organizational structure. They also are able to leverage the geographical location, allowing them an ability to act as a transfer point for intercontinental flights from the West and the East, including the Americas and Europe, to Asia and the Pacific. Emirates also has a high reputation among business customers flying internationally and can leverage this into more customers. However, Emirates currently faces a lot of problems. Changes in culture and traveling has affected Emirates greatly, thanks to the rise in remote work and less people wanting to travel, especially due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The rise in green transportation in both supply and demand has also affected Emirates, as younger consumers are more and more conscious on how green their transportation is. Not only this, different cultural regulations affect different regions, and this can affect Emirates, especially in connected regions such as the US or Europe, where international travel can be done land-wise, such as through the American car culture or the international European railways. When it comes to comparing and contrasting these three companies, all three companies show their reliance on infrastructure, as well as their need to adapt to different laws and regulations when entering different country markets. Huawei and Spotify relate to each other by both having to deal with licensing laws, as well as both relying on technological advances to keep their competitive advantages. Huawei and Emirates are similar, and both have found competitive advantage through industry leadership, as well as through cost-saving techniques. However, both must deal with reputation loss due to alleged connection to foreign governments, such as Huawei's with the Chinese government and Emirates with the UAE's government. Both Spotify and Emirates must adapt to local cultural expectations when entering a new market, such as the kind of music that Spotify needs to recommend or food provided on flights with Emirates. Both also must rely on reputation to differentiate from their competition. Emirates is separate from both these companies, however, as they have a very flat organizational structure and is the only one of these three that provides only a physical service, that is travel. Huawei is different from these two, as they provide both physical and non-physical services and products, and Huawei partners specifically with governments to provide services such as 5G broadband. Spotify differs from the other two by being the only one that singles a single online service, and it is also the only one that is competing at a net negative, currently having a negative profit margin of negative 2.56 in the last fiscal year. In conclusion, we have found that all three non-US based international firms must rely on three different things. First, they must learn how to enter markets with different prevailing cultures and must adapt greatly just to enter the market, let alone compete in it. For example, Huawei must contend with foreign markets concerned with privacy, which they don't have to handle much in China. Spotify must adapt to changes in IP and licensing laws when they compete in other countries, as well as different cultures when it comes to listening to music, such as radio, which is prevalent in both Spain and southern Italy. Emirates must also adapt to local regulations when it comes to operating in countries, such as quality standards for their fleet, as well as green laws on whether they can actually fly their planes there. Infrastructure also plays a key role in all three of these industries. Huawei both operates in internet infrastructure, but also relies on it and electrical grids for their service to function. Spotify also relies on both of these to function as well, and cannot function in countries that have either one of these not present. Emirates only relies on infrastructure that supports commercial aircraft, but this is also costly, as they must rely on both traffic towers, airstrips, and airports. The third thing that foreign firms must realize is they often use their position and geographical advantages to exploit certain aspects of the global market. Huawei, for example, has taken advantage of its geopolitical location to have R&D at low cost and low labor costs, and taken advantage of innovation that happens around China. Spotify also takes advantage of their geopolitical location, as they are in the EU free trade zone and is able to reach international markets without much change. Emirates also takes advantage of the UAE being a middle ground between Europe and Asia, which provides them their main mode of service. These are our references. You can find these both in the presentation as well as directly linked below in the description of this video.